our time again. And I am tonight with none other than the director, the actor, the producer, the scriptwriter, the choreographer. And yes, he is Harshall Kamat. Namaste, namaste.
Namaste, namaste.
So Harshalji, who was your inspiration to become a director, an actor, or a story writer? Who was your inspiration for that?
That's a difficult question to answer because I can't possibly pinpoint a particular person or a particular writer or a filmmaker or a choreographer.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel so I am driven more towards less towards fiction and fantasy
Mm-hmm.
and comic book cinema, as I call it. The Marvel, the DCs. I like to watch it, but I am not somebody who likes to, because I don't think it has as much of an impact as dramas, social dramas, and comedies have. So yeah, all these comedy directors and drama directors and writers who tell a meaningful story, all of them have been my inspiration. If I go to Hollywood, it would probably be movies like Shawshank Redemption, movies like Castaway, movies like Pursuit of Happiness, which I mentioned earlier, movies like $1 Million Baby, Clint Eastwood, Will Smith, Tom Hanks. Their performances have been outstanding. The writing has been brilliant. I mean, the screenplays of these movies, if you have a book that you'll read, you will be as moved, if not more, than when you're watching the film. In Bollywood, it has to be somebody like a Rajkumar Hirani from the new age of directors, because he evokes emotion in you. He makes you believe in the most nonsensical things. When you, as a sane human being, know it's not possible, you still believe and get moved by the filmmaker. That's the victory of a filmmaker, where it's suspension of disbelief, as I call it, where it becomes illogical after the movie, but within the movie it's making absolute sense to you as an audience.
Sure.
And Sanjay Leela Bhansali, for this aesthetic and his focus on wanting to kind of tell a story in a certain way, and for the story to look a certain way. Rohit Shetty for his bizarre comedy. His last few films haven't been my favorite, but the Golmaal series will always stay on top of my head. I mean, just for the sheer audacity of bringing out comedy and still giving out a message in the end. So there is just one complaint I have with the Hindi film industry, Bollywood, that they don't give enough importance to writers. So when you ask me, you and me also will not be able to jot down great writers because we are not kept aware of it. You will not find a film poster where the writer's name is mentioned. And that for me is a tragedy of sorts. It's very unfortunate that a Shakespearean play is called a Shakespearean play, not because Shakespeare is the director or the producer, because he's the writer. But a Bollywood film is known by the filmmaker rather than the filmmaker and the writer.
In this part, I think that I have another thing to tell you or to share with you, that the main part in any movies, right? So there, I do believe that editors, right? So who is really doing the post-production work, or who are doing the dubbings, right? That sound engineers, like those sound engineers, how appropriate they have to be with every cuts and like when the dubbing session is happening, and that it's so hard to do the same type of thing every time, but actors do really well, but at the same time the recording of that voice. So I think that also should come, as you were saying about the writers, because what we see when a movie comes out, it's mostly the first thing goes not on the directors, also that goes on who are in it, who are the actors and the actresses there. So the first thing focuses always with the actors and the actresses, and then it comes to the director. Then we learn about how this film born, or what are the things or whatnot. So in this procedure, I think that we should give respects to all those people who are actually doing the post-production and the pre-production, who are not coming always in the front line. But I think that, as you say, that they should get the major credit of writing a story. And that's what I say all the time, that if the story is not there, if the director is not there, if the editor is not there, if the sound recordist is not there, if the singers are not there, if the lyricists are not there, where these actors and actresses will go?
True, very true. So quickly to respond to that in a very, very quick manner. Firstly, for all the audience who are watching this, with regards to my film Sumi, it's not my film, it's our film. And when I say our film, it's the director Amol Gole. And since I'm responding to this, let me just kind of quickly mention a few names without which this project wouldn't have been possible. The original screenplay and story is by Sanjeev Jha. The adaptation in Marathi, since it's a film in Marathi, is by Prasad. And the editor, the music directors, Rohan, the editor, Gandhali, all of them have done a tremendous job. Prasad Namjoshi is also the lyricist along with the Marathi adaptation writer. Now, these guys, like you rightly said, are the foundational pillars on which cinema is, based. In fact, what is on the canvas is not really as impressive as what is in the bottles where the colors were, which made the canvas possible. Yeah. And painting is sold, the bottles get, discarded. The bottle is the one from which the paint came out.
And with the director, actually the main painter is the producer. Because without that person, nothing is on the table, nothing is on the canvas. Who is going to give you money to pay to get out and get the canvas or the paint or the brushes? So we really forget about the whole teamwork, but like whatever I see these days is mostly like that we are just prioritizing those actors, which I do believe is not really well, maybe it's good, but I think that, as you said, that it is a team, it is a teamwork, and then only anything can happen. And any surprise like this, winning 3 national awards can happen, winning all these hearts, truly that can happen. And I think that this team is now challenged more to work better, because now we got our expectation from you and your whole team that, okay, this is Harshallji's movie now, so now we are going to see something different. Something else is going to come out. So now with your name as a producer, with your team name, now you are being marked. So how challenging is that to hold on to that moment? Because now you are there, but then when you start your next movie, is that always in your mind that, okay, if it is good, if it is bad, how the people will take it? Do you really go through that dilemma?
Every filmmaker has those questions, the ones that you have just mentioned.
Okay.
The best thing to do is keep them away. Because if you start thinking of those, then you on the floor will not be able to perform as well. It's like a footballer trying to continuously think when he's on the field, can I score a goal? Can I score? If you keep thinking that, you'll never score a goal. You need to let that thought go. Yes, that is true, that everyone is watching your work. Everyone is judging you at every point. But if you keep thinking about it, you will never be able to perform on the floor. So all you have to do is acknowledge it, saying, yes, one thing is done. Let's detach yourself from, let's say, so apart from the film Sumi, the Marathi film, I also have an off-Broadway play called India the Musical. Oh. And it's a great play. I think it's brilliant. I mean, at the risk of sounding arrogant or pompous, I can tell you that it's one of the best plays in terms of storytelling that you would ever be able to watch. And I have watched many plays, so I can say that. The fact that I am myself the writer and director of the play kind of makes it a conflicting statement, because it's like you saying, dude, you have written it, so you're going to say it's the best one. But really, I'm trying to be objective about it. And at the same time, if I start a new movie or if I start a new play, I can't stay basking in the glory of the 3 national awards of Sumi. Or, oh, what a great play India, the musical is. I'll have to again go back to zero and say, let's create something new and let's try and make, apply all your energies and let's put 100% effort and let's just hope that the audience again likes it like they liked my past work. But you can't be glorifying your past work while you're making new work, because then it'll never go where it is supposed to go as an independent thought or an independent story or as an independent production. So it is always at the back of everybody's minds saying, how are people going to like it? Because it's ultimately meant to be consumed. But keeping that in your mind will only bog your mind down. Let it just go away. Let that thought go away and move on. And this I say after making successful films as well as after making bad films. Sometimes you think something's going to work, you make it and nobody likes it. You need to move out of that and go to the next one. Otherwise, you will be depressed enough to not, and then the next project gets affected because of the depression.
Yeah.
You will have to say, dude, it's done. It's gone. It was great. It's gone. It was bad. It's gone. The moment you start saying it's gone, let's move on and make the next one. You should be all right. Everyone will be all right if they kind of understand that.
So Harshal ji, being in movie and being in theater, the actors you have worked with different type of actors, different skill sets, different genres. So what was your favorite moment with them, if you can share a few?
There are so many. I mean, there's so many interesting.
You have to, because my viewers are waiting, because I know that this is something so great.
So during choreography, what sometimes happens is you're training an actor to do, especially in a live performance. Okay. If a Katrina Kaif or a Kareena, and worked with Bipasha, Katrina, Alia, all of them. What happens is you teach them a routine. They don't like it in the rehearsal hall. They make changes and then you abide by it. Sometimes you don't like it in the rehearsal hall because you think it's going to look nice. Then all of that is done and the performance is set. After that, a lot of times something or the other goes wrong during the live performance. And how brilliantly these actresses have adapted to it, because there are costumes that are so delicate. There are props that are kept. There are boys lifting them and taking them for spins and then landing them in a different place. Sometimes the hydraulic doesn't come up. So a couple of times there have been moments where Katrina was performing for a live audience. And this was, I think, the National Games. It's about 10 years back. It was happening in Jharkhand, in Ranchi.
Okay.
And she's supposed to be under a huge cloth, a golden sequence cloth, which is shimmering. So the audience doesn't know who's inside the cloth. And there comes a time when that cloth kind of comes off. The cloth did not come off in time because it was so windy that it behaved differently. And at that time, the way she adapted to it, and she turned around and went from the other side because the cloth, instead of going backwards, came forwards. So it looked magnificent because by the time she used her presence of mind, she turned around and it looked as if she's coming from behind the cloth, which was not the design. The design was she's supposed to come from the front. But such, witty presence of mind reactions by a performer, especially in front of live audience, excites me to the core. And this is just a choreographical moment. There have been acting moments. There have been other moments, just because all of them ultimately, Raagiini, are human beings. And when you see the human side of a superstar, when you see what they are going through, what they are trying to do, how well they are trying to prepare, which is not what is seen, on camera. You will just see a Hrithik Roshan's body on camera. You will not see the 75, 100 hours of workout in a week that he does to get that body. So if you're involved in those 100 hours of preparation of the actor's rehearsal of dance or the actor's rehearsal of acting. So yeah, there have been great moments like that. The Katrina instance I'm telling you because it was a visual appeal, because I was nervous when I was watching it. Saying, oh God, the cloth has come on the other side. Now what do we do? But I didn't need to do anything because my artist was good enough to kind of adapt to that change. So yeah, There have been times on live performances where the stage has fallen off. And the actors have used that. So, because you make them with wood and with ply and bamboos, and sometimes it can't take the weight, okay? And then sometimes something happens where it tilts. So one staircase is fine and the other staircase is tilted. So how do you use that so that the audience stays buzzed and the audience doesn't, it's not making an awkward thing work is I feel one of the. So I've had many of those moments across the last 25 years. But सब बताने लगूंगा तो it'll take 2 hours just to tell you the experience.
नहीं क्या है ना कि हर्षल जी.
There was one time, this I have to say, there was one time we were doing something, I think Filmfare Awards or something, and Mr. Bachchan was supposed to be on a throne which is on a turntable.
Okay.
And continuously the turntable is rotating. And he is lip syncing a dialogue. And at the end of the dialogue, the turntable is supposed to rotate and stop. And as it stops, it's supposed to face the front. And he's supposed to stand up and walk down the steps. Now, every rehearsal, we did about 10 rehearsals with him across 3 days before the actual show. Every rehearsal, it would come and stop. It would come and stop. On the day of the show, it did not stop here. It went across and stopped like this. So it overturned.
Okay.
And since nobody knew what is to be done, the audience is watching it for the first time. So Raagiini, what happens is, it becomes now suddenly a profile shot. The way he got up and turned and looked, it almost looked better than this whole frontal thing that we had designed. Because then in a profile, you could see him walk down and it looked much better than him walking towards you. If it's making any sense to you. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I get it.
And he kept looking at the audience with a profile and he kept stepping down. And that was looking so stylish. So sometimes you just come up with accidents that make it look better than the original design. So that was one. Again, I'm watching it from the front and I'm nervous because the table hasn't stopped. So it has gone here. And now the man is coming down in profile and everyone just cheered so well. It was fantastic.
Well, yes, these are the stage incidents. But when you were working with your actors in the movies, anything that you want to share with us?
Yes. So even in Sumi, there's an instance in Sumi where the girl falls into a canal with a cycle. So she has to ride a cycle. She has to learn how to ride it. And as she's learning how to ride it, she loses balance. She loses orientation and slowly she gets down and goes into a canal. Now she went into the canal and she's supposed to land there, but she fell. So when she fell, she almost submerged into the canal. And then she got up from there. And it looked so good that every reshoot or every different angle, we made her do that. That wasn't the design. But वो पूरी तरह से अंदर चली गई ना पानी के. So nice accidentally because it accentuates that whole accident. Saying, oh, by mistake you've gone into the canal. So just by mistake going into the canal didn't make sense. Now that she's given us something, uska pair fisal gaya, she slipped. So she fell completely inside. And for the whole day and the next day, every time we shot that with different angles, we kept making her do the same thing. Land in the canal and go all the way in. Go all the way in. Drink some water in your nose and then come out chaotically. And it really looks scary now. Initially, it was just looking like a normal accident. Now it looks like a scary accident.
Understood.
Yeah.
Harshal ji, now the zamana is mostly with the iPhones, right? So we all have one. We use that for videos, for photos and stuff like that. Being a real director, and lots of time these days I'm listening to this that, oh, I did it from phone, or some movies are even coming out. The shooting has been done in phone.
Yeah.
So what is your idea about that, or what is your concept about that? Do you agree to that, or no, phone is okay, but it is not like what the real camera is going to give you or showcase in the movie theater for all of us?
Yeah. So, again, a very good question. I must say, you've come up with a set of really challenging questions for me. It's making me think as I go along.
Okay.
All of us have iPhones, right?
Yeah.
Each of the phone approximately costs $1,000 and above.
Hmm.
1,500, 2,000 maybe. I mean, the pick of the iPhones, the best ones.
Yeah.
There are also phones available for $200 and $300, which are not iPhones, but they are phones. They do the job of receiving a call, rejecting a call, taking a message, texting somebody on WhatsApp, and they also have cameras. How would iPhone feel if I said you're the same as those $200 cameras? The iPhone would like it. So the iPhone needs to realize, just like the $300 phone is not the iPhone, exactly like that, the iPhone is not the professional camera that we shoot with.
Love that. Love that. I love that, Harshilji. I knew it. So I wanted something like that from you only because, because these days I see people, they are overly confident, I can say, and they can think that they can do anything. And I am really proud of that because a lot of us, we really don't know a lot of things. Maybe we just want to try out. But how important it is to learn the real thing. Will you please let my viewers know?
Uh, so yes, again, having said that the iPhone is inferior to a professional camera, a lot of good filmmakers back in India, back home, as well as in America that I found, are not given the access to a professional camera because their projects don't get approved. They have to run from pillar to post saying, sir, this is my script. They have to try and meet actors to get some actors on board. What then happens is, beyond the point, of frustrated filmmaker who thinks he has a good product in hand has to make do with whatever is available to him. And an iPhone is readily available to him and a cinematographer in their pockets. So iPhones or any other DSLR cameras or point and shoot cameras basically help these challenging times for any new filmmaker to prove their craft. Because everyone is not going to get a professional camera, because everyone's film is not going to come on canvas. Let's just be very honest. We are all running around with hundreds of stories. So there are about a million stories in the market right now. And all these million people want to become filmmakers and tell their stories. The iPhone or other phones or other convenient devices have just given these kind of people an access to saying, you know what, out of the 5 stories that you're roaming around with, take some good theater actors, borrow some friends, take a cinematographer and shoot it with your phone. Let's see what you have. Let's see the potential in your storytelling craft. And then that becomes a stepping stone to making it into the professional world, because then it's not just a guy who's narrating a story. It's a guy showing you a film saying, sir, ये phone पे ऐसा बन सक रहा है. तो अगर अच्छा कैमरा दोगे, अच्छे actors दोगे, अच्छा set दोगे, if you give me the right kind of cameras, if you give me the right kind of artists, then with a beginner's device and a beginner's tool and a beginner's actor, if I've done this, then you need to now gauge my potential in trying to do something else new. So yes, having said that, the iPhones or the inferior cameras or the devices are not the same as professional ones. They've opened up an array of opportunities for new filmmakers to just get that done. And the downside of it is there are about 10 million videos at least posted every day.
Yeah.
So you don't know how to watch and what to watch and what to consume, because it is just overload of information, good, bad, and ugly, everything together. So that's the challenge that we as human beings are going to face. What to give our times to.
So guys, you know that now you know, and Harshilji, I'm really happy that you shared your thoughts about that. But a lot of times we see these things also, that everything comes in a package, right? So now these days we see lots of reels from different people who are showing us how to light, how to do the background lights, how to create your own studio, because after COVID we are really fascinated by ourselves, our own things that we really want to showcase in our own room and in our own place. So how you take that, because like a lot of different apps are right now out already, that who can be like in that same line of using a phone or a camera or real effects or the app. So what is your idea about that? I know the great answer is going to come from you, but I
No.
really need to know that.
So if you look at the convenience it has brought us, especially during COVID times, and during the fact that this interview that we are doing is possible because of devices like that and apps like that.
True.
But that does not mean that I will go and shoot a movie with it. That's my point. My point is not that these devices and the apps that are coming out that are mimicking such settings or such lighting, these filters that make you look like amazing, where you don't need makeup anymore, and I don't need any makeup anymore, and I'll look like probably Brad Pitt. I don't know. But my point being, those devices are there to solve certain purposes. Whether it's like this interview, whether it's a YouTube channel, whether it's a video podcast, whether it's maybe a talk show in my backyard. Because I mean, everyone is loving these apps and everyone is loving these new age devices, which almost like mimic filmmaking techniques and lighting and the entire filter process, where everyone starts looking gorgeous in their own phones also to you. Having said that, that serves a purpose where this interview, for example, or a blog or a talk show in your own backyard where you're discussing a topic and arguing about it, that all needs posted. You don't need a professional camera for that, because it's going to be consumed eventually on YouTube. And YouTube is not going to have a theatrical release on a big screen. So when that is not required for a phone to be consumed on your iPad, to be consumed on your phone, such content is ticking all the boxes required. Such apps are ticking all the boxes required. Such phones are giving you the quality required. But that does not mean you go around making films with these devices, because it will ultimately digitally filter it. It will ultimately digitally modify it and polish it and make it as close to cinema as possible. But the grain and texture of a cinema camera, the real lighting vis-a-vis a digitally computerized modified lighting, there is still a difference. Yes, this is going to be the very, very classic argument during the change of an era, where every time the original and the orthodox technicians will stay with the older techniques and not want to take the newer techniques. I am not for that. I am saying you use all the new techniques and the new devices. Just know what product. If you're going mountaineering on a car drive, you won't take a Formula 1 car, right? I mean, it'll break down. You will take an SUV. But because the SUV is helping you climb mountains, you won't put it in a Formula 1 race. For that, you need a Formula 1 car.
Yeah.
It is expensive. It is great, but that is what will win you the race. So again, it's the same. Every product will have different variations. Every medium will have different vehicles, will have different products. You will have a Dodge Viper, a Chevy SUV, and you will have a Tata Electric Nano. But they are not the same. They do the same thing, which is take you from point A to point B. But how do you want to be taken there? Fast, slow, what is the terrain there? Similarly, in cinema, it's the same.
Yeah.
I mean, with an iPhone, for example, I'll give you, I'm already designing a film on an iPhone. It's a travel film.
Okay.
And a travel film is easily possible on an iPhone, because it gives you the vast expanse. It gives you the freedom of not having to use too many lenses. And you're on the go on your bike, and you put it across so that you can shoot another bike that is next to you. All that makes it very iPhone worthy, because it's possible to do it. Just rig your phone, shoot the person. A big camera would make that entire thing cumbersome to shoot. So it's really product related in that sense. कि आपको बनाना क्या है? What are you trying to achieve? And then you take your devices and apps accordingly. Long
इसी
answer.
बात पे absolutely, absolutely. I got my answer. This answer is actually for my viewers who I say, I don't say newcomers, I say the bright stars, okay? Because they all have so much dream in their eyes. They all have so much hope in their hearts, and I always call them bright stars. So please say a few words about them, because uh, they want to come up like you. Please say a few words about them, because maybe they want to be like you, and they just want to write some scripts or directing or acting, or maybe a choreographer, or whoever is listening to me right now. So please say your words to them that will really energize them, motivates them, and will try to take their heart and soul out to that thing that they love to do.
So all the spectators who are probably not even choreographers, directors, but are just watching it, all the audience right now, I'm hoping that you all are enjoying this conversation, first of all. And second of all, whatever you're doing, just be at it. I mean, you could be a nurse, you could be a doctor, you could be just, helping in any form and contributing to society. Keep doing that. And to the filmmakers at heart, to the storytellers at heart, to the screenwriters, theater actors, upcoming dancers who eventually want to be choreographers, I would just keep telling you, just keep following your thought processes. Do not procrastinate. Do not let one day go by when you've not done what you wanted to do, where your mind was pushing you. So keep at it. Keep using your brain. Every time people talk about direction or choreography or acting, they think that it's a job where you don't need to be intelligent. I completely disagree. If you are a dancer, you are absolutely fantastically intelligent in a very different way than an engineer is. But if an engineer can't do what you're doing, that means there is a sense of intelligence involved right there. If an actor is doing something that a doctor cannot possibly do, there is a sense of intelligence involved there. So keep at it, keep going, push yourself towards world cinema. Keep watching what the world is doing. Get inspired by the smallest of, tiniest of stories to the biggest of magnum opuses. And just, keep going, keep going. Even if one thing doesn't materialize, keep making a bank. I have a bank of about 14 short films, 5 feature films. And during COVID, I just put my head down and kept writing, because you couldn't go out and shoot, So just because you can't go out and shoot doesn't mean your brain stops working. So you listen to your inner voice and it just jot it down on paper. Keep doing that day after day. And you'll come up with either a write-up or a screenplay or a theater story or a film script, or maybe even a poem. I don't know. Just keep at it.
True. So true. Oh my God, really. So my friends, I know that you really enjoyed our conversation with Harshall ji. And Harshall ji, really, we thank you a lot for giving us your quality time. And I am really happy that you are here. And we really had a nice time together, talking to each other. I think that I made my purpose, or I did what I'm supposed to do. And really, we just want to wish you, from the whole team of Star Darbar, Blue Eye Creation, Christian Entertainment, we all want to wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you, Raagiini, for having me. It was an honor and a pleasure myself.
Thank you so much, Harshall ji. And friends, we are going to come back next week, same time, same day, of course, with me, Raagiini. I'll be here with you with someone really special. And yes, we are going to talk a lot, chat a lot, but yet, please come back and watch us, okay, live. Thank you so much. Namaskar.